Welcome to BookWorthy. Today we're talking with Kristen Puma about her book Abby and Liam and the Bedtime Adventure. This series follows a dynamic duo of siblings whose bond is as strong as their imaginations are wild. Their world is one where the ordinary world becomes extraordinary, where a simple bedtime routine transforms into a journey of discovery and excitement. Welcome to BookWorthy, Kristen.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. I love what you've said on your kind of your website and your author page on Amazon that you just kind of want to inspire a love of learning. So I know we're going to be fast friends here. But to get us started, we have to do our random question of the week, which is
Okay.
what is the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Oh my goodness. My parents would probably say anything I did in my teen years was too much, too adventurous. Gosh, I oh, I think the most adventurous thing I've ever done is spur of the moment. I took a trip up the mountains where I live, and I kind of found this little parking spot off the side of the road, and I parked and I just watched the sunset and the lights light up from the city below, and for me, that was super adventurous and just kind of something that, I don't typically get to do or just go and do. So, that was a pretty cool evening. That was a good night.
Very neat. I love that,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those, a lot of people think adventurous as jumping out of airplanes or,
Hmm.
that kind of thing, but it is adventurous to step out of the norm, to do something different, to
Yes.
experience something new. That itself is an adventure.
Yes.
Well, Kristen, tell us a little bit about your book.
So, Abby and Liam and the Bedtime Adventure, it was my debut children's book, and it was released early June of this past year. And it's based off of my children and my family and our own exciting adventures that we go on almost daily. And it's specifically about how these siblings, they just don't want to go to bed, right? No kid at the end of the day wants to go to bed. And so mom and dad, they create this kind of setting where even though they are trying to guide the children to go upstairs and make the right choice, they're still offering a welcoming setting where the kids can just have one more adventure with them. And it really just takes that mundane task of, getting ready for bed, brushing your teeth, all the things. It just takes that mundane task and turns it into something that can be enjoyable and doesn't have to be this thing that you're dreading doing at the end of the day.
I know, come bedtime, it's usually mom and dad are just as tired as the kids are. And the kids are like, if I stop for just a second, I'll fall asleep. And we call it crazy tired because they'll just go 100 miles an hour because if they stopped, they would just
Hmm.
crash and they don't want to miss out on anything.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Too fun. Well,
Yep.
in your bedtime routine with your kids that inspired this book, how did you kind of
Yes.
come up with the idea to make it more of an adventure than a task?
Yes. I was actually on the phone with my older brother, a while ago, and he was telling me how my niece, how she just loves to take her time with going to bed, and he was just, a little bit he wasn't sour, but he was just, oh, bedtime is just, that kind of time of day where we're all just so tired and she makes it a little more difficult and she just won't, brush her teeth and go to bed. And so I just kind of had this light bulb moment where, he told me, he said, you should write a book for her about going to bed. And I was like, we have a pretty good setup here. So why don't I turn that into a story? Because for our family, there are some nights, I'm not gonna lie, there are some nights where mom and dad, we're both tired and we're just ready to end the day. And but at the same time, bedtime I find is when children just really open up to you and just really, even though they want to ask you 20 questions and just, keep you there, it's really just a good time and a valuable time to spend together as a family. And so instead of having it be this job that we also have to do, why not just make it warm and wonderful for the kids, and they'll look back on those memories and be like, my parents were always there at bedtime and it was always a good time. So that's just kind of where my brother, he told me to write the book and I just light bulb, our own family. So it just kind of came to be.
I love that because what is it?
Yeah.
I have three boys, and
Hmm.
two are external processors. And of course, they don't
Hmm.
start processing their day until they slow down, which is when their head
Hmm.
hits the pillow. And
Yep.
so I've had to learn to embrace that time, to set aside
Yes.
that time, that, to remind myself this is the reason why I am putting my kids to bed. I am putting them to bed to
Hmm.
send them off well, to help them feel loved, to help them feel safe, and to communicate, be able to talk to me. We always ask you can say we always say you can ask us anything and tell us anything, and we'll always love you. And that's kind of our
Yes.
place to just do those things. It sometimes leads to big conversations, and sometimes it's, I don't know. I think my son was trying to tell me a riddle the other night, and he like fell asleep halfway through the riddle. I'm like, okay.
That's so sweet. He's just so excited and so tired at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I guess I can't solve the riddle because I didn't hear it.
He was giving you extra time so you could, leave the bedroom and then go and figure it out. Yeah. Time at
True.
breakfast time.
Now tell us a little bit about the
Yeah.
adventure that Abby and Liam go on in this first
Hmm.
book.
Yes. So, like we said, this one is a bedtime adventure. And so, dad is telling them, it's time to go to bed. It's time to climb the stairs. And instead of just having it, be a typical house with stairs and walls and, bathrooms and bedrooms and all these things, they actually imagine that their home turns into a completely different setting. And so to climb the stairs, they instead decide to make their own canoe, and they sail up the stairs, but really the stairs is a volcano and it's got lava and ash and all these things, these different elements. And so they scale this volcano, and then there's a dragon that shows up, and Dad leads them through the jungle, and it's one adventure after another, and they just, as a family, it's not just the siblings, it's the whole family. Even our Labradoodle Peanut, she's actually in the story too, and yeah, the illustration of her is so cute. It looks just like our dog. It's like spot on. But yeah, it's just they go through these different places, and each place is an adventure, and then yeah, they settle in for the night, and everybody is happy and everybody's ready to call it a night. Yeah.
That's fun to take that routine, mundane, brushing teeth, getting ready for bed, and to make it
Hmm.
fun and engaging for kids.
Yes.
Kind of, what is your hope to communicate to those that read your book? Kind of, what's the overarching message you'd like to leave with them?
Yeah, I really just so Abby and Liam, they are meant to be a series, and the message within the whole Abby and Liam series is just that I want kids to feel comfortable using their imagination and feel comfortable just taking the ordinary and turning it into something that does excite them. And, if they're curious about something or they're feeling creative, that it's okay to do that. It's okay to stop and take a moment and just really hone in on that. And like I said, like bedtime, for example, if the kids still need that one last piece of just, fulfilling their day with something fun or just something that makes them feel close to their parents, it's okay to invite that and welcome that into your home. And same with, drawing pictures. My 7-year-old, she loves to draw and create, and so when we were on family vacation, she actually, our days were action packed. We had so much going on, but she still wanted to take a moment to draw a picture of our dog. And it could have been so easy for me as the adult to say, no, no, like we have to go do this. We have to, we have to move on to our next activity. But instead, it was just something where, I said, you know what, like go ahead and sit down and take the time to be creative and curious and, create what you want to create. And I'll have to send you the picture that she created because it's not, yeah, it's fantastic. But
It's
yeah, that's
creative,
just,
right?
yeah, it's just, yeah, so I think the message with the Abby and Liam series is really just that I want kids to understand that it's okay to take the moments to be imaginative and creative and curious. And especially we as adults, we can slow down too, and we can allow that. And so, allow that not just for your kids, but allow that for yourself too. Yeah.
I
There's
love
enough
that.
hustle and bustle out there. It doesn't need to be in our own home, you know?
Right. It's easy to get caught up in all the things that have to get
Yes.
done. And, what is it? Our kids, all they want is time with us.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to be hours upon hours. What is it? I found, what was it? When my kids were young, it only took about 15 minutes of just intentional time with them before they
Yes.
were ready for me to, they were like, okay, I'm done with you. I'm going to go play over here. I'm like, oh, okay. So just a
Yep.
little bit of time of really intentional stepping into their world just
Hmm.
would fill their bucket and give me a few moments to be like, you know what, I can go load the dishwasher and I can step away
Yep.
for just a few moments to get something done.
Yes.
And it's hard as an adult to be like, okay, I'm going to step out of my to-do list and step into our children's world. And I think that the
Yes.
relationships are built so strong when we are able to do that.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, you said it. We all have to-do lists, and it's easy for us to get caught up in that. And I noticed actually, as I was writing this book and, getting it sent to the publishers, I noticed that for myself, it was just really, not necessarily healing, but it really helped me embrace my inner child again and just really, find that playfulness in myself. And it definitely shifted my parenting style a little bit, which is really cool. Um I think I've always just kind of been that type of person where, if I have if I have things to do, I need to make the plan and I need to get everything done and I need to make sure I do it in a timely manner. Whereas my children and, writing these stories has really caused me to just settle down and slow down and just just truly enjoy the time that I'm in. And so, yeah, I don't know, add that to the to-do list, right? Enjoy
Right,
your
right.
time with your family.
Too funny. I think I saw like, you've heard of TED Talks. Well, they're doing
Hmm.
like kid TED Talks now where kids are stepping
Oh,
up there and
cool.
doing things. And there was one where a kid would, her mom wouldn't let her watch TV. And she was like, her mom kept saying, be bored. That's a good
Hmm.
thing. And the kid was like, no, I don't want to be bored. But then she just kind of sat there and stared at the ceiling. And in moments, she just started creating something. She wrote a story and it's just kind of giving herself that
Yes.
time to sit and enjoy and be
Hmm.
bored and, allows our mind and our hearts to just explore and to embrace that childlike attitude that our
Yes.
kids are so naturally doing.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I think our kids are onto something. They have life figured out, I think. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Kristen, when did your writing journey begin?
Oh goodness. I wrote my first poem when I was 10 years old. And it was just this very adolescent, kind of theme with it. And I actually still have it. I read it a while back and I just had to chuckle to myself at, the rhymes I was creating. Like I'm at school and so is cool and just stuff like that. But either way, I wrote that poem when I was 10 and I I fell in love with just the whole process of writing and the way I could string words together. And it just, as I grew, I continued to write poetry. And I just, when I write, I feel like the words are almost music to my ears. Like it's just this thing where I write and it plays in my head and it's just this really beautiful thing. And I just, yeah, I'm one with writing and I love that. But yeah, so I started writing when I was 10 and I would stop off and on depending on the season of my life. And once I had kids, that actually is kind of just where I shifted into writing picture books. And I love it and I can't say I'll ever go back to anything different. So, yeah.
Like, there's a playfulness and a joy that comes with children's books, whether you're reading them or
Yes.
writing them. So that's always
Yes,
fun.
absolutely.
Well, Kristen, what's one of the most impactful books in your life?
I don't know if I really have an impactful one. I guess maybe in different ways. As silly as it sounds, the Harry Potter series was the first set of books that actually got me like reading. Like I remember being a kid and I wasn't that much of a reader. I would read like the I forget what they were called. Maybe they were like old school. They had a picture of like a girl who lived in like the 1900s or like the 1800s and they were
Oh, the
like
Mary
basically
Dolls
yeah,
story.
yeah. They were like the diary type stories.
Uh,
Yes, I have memories of just loving those when I was really young. But then as I, kind of grew up a little bit, I, just stopped reading. I don't know. Reading for me, I don't think was that big of an interest early on. But once the Harry Potter books came out, that's kind of what sparked my love again of books. So that was really impactful in that sense. I also I loved The Lord of the Rings. I like that was just that those were the books I think that like just opened my imagination. Those were just fantastic. And then to see the movies, I mean, that was just, incredible too.
too
Um,
fun.
but yeah, I mean, Anne of Green Gables, The Catcher in the Rye, just all like, all the classics, I think. I actually really do love Jane Eyre. That's a really good one. Um, yeah, I don't know. I can't ever pick a favorite or like a most impactful because books are just so incredible, right? They have a way of bringing out different pieces of you, and it's just I don't know. I
And then
can't pick
hit
a favorite, I don't think.
Yeah, and then they hit you differently in different seasons of
Yes,
your life. And so what would
yes.
be, a book, what is it, a book I read in high school that I absolutely loved. I tried to read it again and I'm like, I do not have time to read this book because it was just very detailed and very like, as a mom of three kids, I do not have time to read this one.
Yes,
It's just like,
no.
yeah, I love this book, but no, I gotta put it away
Yes.
and keep going.
Yep, yep. I'll just read the back cover.
Right,
Uh,
right.
yep.
Soak in the memories of reading the book.
Yes.
Too fun. Now, what can we expect next from you?
Yes. So the series is continuing. Abby and Liam and the Snowball Adventure is set to be released, and it's with the publisher now, and I can't wait for that. So everybody keep an eye on that. Everyone can follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most present. And that's at written by Kristen, and then it's two underscores. Or people can check out my website at authorwrittenbykristen.com. And that's just kind of where, those two places are where I'll have all the updates.
Very fun. Well, a snowball
Yeah.
adventure. That sounds like an adventure in itself. We live down here in
Yes.
Texas, so we don't get much snow.
Oh, yes. Yep.
But
You guys
so
just
it,
get ice, right?
yes, it just
Yes.
ices. We call it Ice Mageddon, and yeah, it's.
I love that. Yeah.
But yes, snow is always an adventure for kids, for sure. Well,
Yes.
Kristen, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us more about your book.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on the Bookworthy podcast. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. And thank you for joining Kristen and me on this episode of the Bookworthy podcast. Check the show notes for any books or links that we discussed, and let us know in the comments what is the most adventurous thing you've ever done. Be sure to like and subscribe so we can discover more great books together. Happy reading!